Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, very good afternoon. Okay, so last class we started with introduction of GST. We will continue the same. And people, we were seeing that few students were asking queries on some topics which we had already discussed. Hope you have seen the video and so that you can catch up on whatever topics you could not understand. So we'll quickly get into the topic. As usual, we will go to your queries at the end of in between the session at various intervals. Okay. So we were discussing on framework of GST in India. We have covered that it has a dual GST, then CGST, SGST, UTGST, and IGST are the various taxes which is levied. Then we saw the legislative framework. Then we saw that how the classification of goods and service happens, HSN and SEC code. And then we were talking about the registration. Next, we'll discuss on the composition scheme. Okay. So in GST, we have registration. And when we had this registration process, then the few small taxpayers came and discussed saying that we need a special scheme for us because all the uh, normal registrations and normal procedure for taking input tax credit, we will not be well versed with it. So give us some special scheme because lot of various VAT, various states had this composite scheme under the VAT laws. So they said that give us also some special scheme. So there was a composition scheme wherein there is a limit set in that if you supply up to that limit, then there is no need of you to claim input tax credit. So you will not claim input tax credit. Why? Because on your supply, you will charge only 1% or 2% or 5%. So if the rate of the product which is normally sold is say 18%, a person who is registered under this composition scheme, he will pay just a minimal rate of 1% or 2% so that he does not have to comply with various things and his input tax credit will not be allowed because a person who's paying 18% rate or 12% rate on his products, he will have to maintain the input tax credit. Now we are giving you a scheme that you pay just 1%. So if you're paying 1%, then your input tax credit will be not available to you. That's the only hindrance. Otherwise, your return filing will be less. You don't have to file monthly or quarterly returns. You'll have to file annually one returns. So there are a lot of benefits for this small taxpayer, and there is a limit. Up to 1.5 crores of your turnover, you can go to composition scheme. Above 1.5 crores, you will come out of the scheme. We'll discuss more of the scheme in the registration part, but just to understand this, that there is a special scheme for small taxpayers which is available under the law. Okay. Next is exemptions. GST, when we see that, okay, everything is taxable, but some products, some services has to be given some exemptions. So we have a separate chapter on exemptions also. The framework of GST says that, okay, taxes is levied, but on certain services, on certain goods, there will be exemption which is available. Then there is a seamless flow of credit. Why is this seamless flow of credit? As we had seen, A to B, B to C, and like that, the chain continues, and there is a credit which is seamlessly available. And composition scheme, yes, the composition person sells in the state itself, and he doesn't sell outside the state. So if he sells anything outside the state, then he will not be part of the composition scheme. How this flow of credit works, this chart you have to understand to get into what is input tax credit and how you will claim the credit. So there is CGST input tax credit because when you buy from somebody, that other person will charge you CGST or he will charge you SGST, right? Now, when he charges you CGST, you can utilize the CGST for specific purpose and in specific order. And when the other person charges you SGST, you can claim it in specific order. And when the other person charges you IGST, when will somebody charge you IGST? When you're making a interstate purchase, then he will charge you IGST. So in that case, how can you utilize the credit? So whatever purchases you make, right, all of that will have two components, right? If it is intrastate, you will have CGST and you will have SGST, correct? So there are two components. Now this person who's charging you CGST, you will accumulate it. Now what do you do with this accumulation? This is like a bucket. This CGST credit, you will take it and utilize it against any of your CGST liability. Okay. So any CGST credit, you will take it and use it for your CGST liability. Anything which is left after making payment of the CGST liability, you can utilize it for the IGST liability. Okay. So CGST credit can be utilized for the CGST liability and anything left can be utilized for the IGST liability. Understood? The first bucket was with respect to CGST input credit. You can utilize the credit for your output of the same tax. And if something more is left over, right? Like after utilizing this again CGST output, I had some credit. I will utilize it for my IGST liability. Then similarly, I will have all the purchases from SGST, right? So person who's charging me CGST, he will charge SGST also. At SGST credit, I will utilize it for my SGST liability. And if something is left over, then I will utilize for my IGST liability. Now, IGST credit, whenever I make interstate purchases, they will charge me IGST, even though IGST is the full form is integrated goods and service tax, but it is charged for a interstate transaction. So anybody who has charged me IGST for my interstate purchases, this credit, I can utilize it for IGST liability and then I can utilize it for my CGST and SGST liability in any order. Okay. So this is how the credit flow will happen. Is everybody clear with this credit system? Because this is what we will discuss again and again. So how the credit flows is what you have to clearly understand. Is the order fixed from IGST we have to pay SGST? No. For IGST, the order is first you have to pay IGST itself and then pay for CGST and SGST. Now C and S can be in any order and in any proportion. Okay. But SGST credit can be utilized for the SGST liability. Then you can utilize for your IGST liability. Great. Who will pay the GST between buyer state and purchase state? Buyer state and purchase state is one itself, right? The person who's buying itself is the purchaser. So what's the difference between buyer and purchaser, Omkar? Correct. So one good observation what Kavita has highlighted is we have seen that there is utilization of credit between CGST against CGST, SGST against SGST, IGST is against IGST and C and S. But one thing, if you note, there is no cross utilization which is permitted. CGST credit cannot be utilized for SGST, and similarly, SGST credit cannot be utilized for CGST because CGST and SGST cannot synchronize. So any CGST credit what you have, you can utilize it against your CGST liability and with your IGST liability, but you cannot utilize with the SGST liability. Similarly, SGST credit can be utilized with SGST and IGST, but not with CGST. Okay, let's say Maharashtra is selling and Bihar is purchasing something. Who will pay the GST? It is always the seller state. So GST is collected at the source. So the person who sells it. So in our example, Omkar, Maharashtra person is selling to Bihar. So Maharashtra person will charge in his invoice IGST and collect it from the customer. Okay. So that is how the credit mechanism works. Order of utilization, as we are seeing, this is the order of utilization. CGST is utilized with CGST, then with IGST, but IGST is utilized with IGST and with CGST and SGST in any order. Okay. Now, continuing with the framework of GST in India, we have GST common portal. There is a common portal to file all your returns, to register and claim your input tax credit. This common portal is called as gst.gov.in. Okay. So gst.gov.in is the common portal where you have to apply for registration, file your returns, and do any kind of communication between yourself and the department. If the department wants to issue some notice to you, wants to issue an order, they will do that also on the same portal. But for e-way there is a separate portal which is called as e-way-gst.gov.in. What is e-way? We'll come to it later on. There is something called as e-way for which there is a separate portal, and invoice registration portal. This is separate for a separate activity called as e-invoicing. Okay, so there are basically three portal. The main portal is gst.gov.in, wherein you apply for registration and other aspects. In e-way you will raise e-way bills, and in invoice registration portal, you will raise a e-invoice. Then there is a concept of GSPs and ASPs. Okay, if you see the GST website, you have to file your returns each invoice wise. Okay, if you have issued 100 invoices, 100 invoice details has to be uploaded on the portal. If you have 1,000 invoice, 10,000 invoice, how will you upload it manually? It becomes very difficult, right? So there has to be a synchronization between your records or your accounting system with the GST portal. To facilitate this, we have something called as GSP, which is GST Suvidha Providers, and ASP, which is Application Service Providers. That is, they will help you interact from your accounting system, from your billing system to the GST portal so that there is no duplication of data. You will enter your invoices in your system, and through this help of this GSPs and ASPs, you can integrate it with the GST system, which is the gst.gov.in, and your data can be transferred without doing any manual intervention. Okay. Then there is a compensation cess. Apart from CGST, SGST, UTGST, and IGST, we have something, additional tax called as compensation cess. We were discussing in the last session, right? That apart from taxes, we have tax on tax in terms of surcharge or cess. One of them is this compensation cess. Okay, compensation cess is to offset or to collect from certain goods like sin goods, high range cars, tobaccos. On those products, compensation cess is collected. What happens with that? That any loss to the state government will be compensated through this compensation cess. But this will not be a permanent tax. It will be only up till 31st March 2026. Okay. Next aspect is tax on goods or services. The GST is a tax on goods or services. However, there are certain exceptions. Okay. GST, we know that as the full form says, it's a goods and services tax, which means it's a tax on goods and services. But there is exception to the levy of GST. This is very important because some products could not get migrated to GST because state government wants the taxes, because state government said that if you do not give me this tax, then I cannot survive with GST. And central government also said that some taxes we still need to get collected it because we cannot forego it, because it's a huge loss to the government if these are migrated to GST. So some products are outside GST. These five products are outside the GST. First is alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption is outside GST. Within brackets, then what will apply? Will GST not apply? Yes, it will have additional levy, which is state excise. State government also can levy excise duty, which is called as state excise, which is levied on alcoholic liquor for human consumption, and VAT is levied. Okay, so state government will levy state excise and they will levy VAT also. And if it is interstate movement, then we know that for every interstate movement, how in equivalent to VAT, CST was there. So if there is an interstate movement, CST will apply. If it is intrastate, then VAT will apply. Okay. Then second product is petroleum, crude, diesel, petrol, air turbine fuel, and natural gas. So basically, all of these are petroleum products. Five kinds of petroleum products: crude petrol, diesel, petrol, air turbine fuel, and natural gas. This is also outside GST. What will apply for them? There will be applicability of central excise duty. In case of alcoholic liquor, it was state excise duty. But in case of petroleum products, it will be central excise duty and VAT. Okay. Then now this VAT will go to the respective state. And if it is interstate transaction, then it will be CST will go to the central government. Then you have tobacco. On tobacco products, GST is levied, but when at the point of manufacturing, central excise duty is also levied. So on tobacco, GST and central excise is levied. Then you have opium, Indian hemp, and narcotic drugs. Okay. On these products, state excise will levy and GST will levy. Okay. What is opium, Indian hemp, and narcotic drugs? These are all called ganja, vesejo products which are restricted. On that, state excise will levy and GST also is applicable. And last product is basically immovable property. So on any immovable property, GST will not apply. That is when you sell any land, on that GST is not applicable. So if you leave that, there are basically four products: alcoholic liquor for human consumption, जिसके ऊपर state excise और VAT लगेगा. On petroleum products, central excise and VAT. On tobacco products, central excise and GST. And opium, Indian hemp, and narcotic drugs, state excise and GST. Because these products are used even for medicament purposes, right? Opium, Indian hemp, and narcotic drugs have to be used for certain medicines. So there, when they are using it, state excise and GST will be applicable. Okay, so now let's go to the questions. Some amount of alcohol used in sanitizer. Yes. So when it is used for industrial purposes. So when it is used for human consumption, specifically they've said alcoholic liquor for human consumption is outside GST, but when it is used for industrial purposes, as you rightly said for sanitizer, then GST will apply. What is the exact meaning of the term excise? Excise is a tax on manufacture. That's the levy. The name of the levy is called excise. On medicine also GST is levied. Yes, even on medicine GST is levied. Excise duty is basically a duty which is payable on manufacture. Whatever you manufacture, on that, whatever is the duty, that is called as excise duty.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, can you explain the role of GSP and ASPs?
GSPs and ASPs. Help, just one moment. GSPs and ASPs help you to have kind of interaction with the GST portal. Okay, the GST portal is called as gst.gov.in. In this portal, if you have lot of data, you cannot key in manually, you cannot upload Excels. So there has to be a interaction through a digital network. So government cannot give individual access to everybody. So they will give this access to specific companies who are called as GSPs and ASPs. So it will firstly primarily be with GSP. GSP will get the access, and then from GSP, ASPs will get the access.
Okay, sir.
Yes, GST is applicable on property under construction. So on under construction, it is applicable. So when it is under construction, it is not yet an immovable property. That's why when we see go to Schedule 3 in our discussion on supply chapter, we'll see that on land, GST is not applicable, but on construction, GST continues to apply. Yes, Pooja, after 31st March 26, because there is when the Compensation Cess Act itself, they mentioned that this act will apply up till 31st March 2026. After that, it will not apply. So what all liabilities credits are used? Any liability, whatever is your supply on that, whatever GST you have to pay, on that you can utilize your credit. GSP stands for GST Suvidha Providers and ASP stands for Application Service Providers. Point number 11, compensation cess. As we had discussed, Mohammed, compensation cess is an additional tax which is collected in addition to CGST and SGST for certain sin goods and certain luxury products.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes,
Sir, in compensation says it is written that it is levied up to 31st of March 2026. So it means that it will be no more, it will be removed from this taxation.
correct. So this will be a temporary levy which will be valid till 31st March 26. After that, it will not be there.
Okay, sir.
Why is CST collected retained by state government? It's central tax. So CST is collected at the point when you start the transaction, right? So when you start the transaction, like when you raise an invoice, you collect the CST. But since CST being the central government's ambit, central government has said that the states can retain it because the law said that, okay, the collection power is with the central government. But for ease of purposes, they have said, okay, the state which has collected, they can retain it. That is the reason, even though the CST is collected indirectly on behalf of the central government, it is retained by the state government itself.
It means VAT and CST is still in exist.
Yes, yes, that's what I'm saying. On these certain products, what we have mentioned here, on that VAT and CST still exists.
Sir, can you explain, please, compensation with an example?
When you buy aerated drinks, cold drinks, okay, on that GST is also applied and compensation cess is also applied. When you buy luxury cars, on that GST is also applied and compensation cess is also applied. So, matlab, if you buy a car, the GST rate will be 28% and compensation cess will be 12%. So, effectively, we will pay 28 plus 12, which is 40% on buying of a high-end car.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so let's proceed further. Next is the basic benefits of GST. There are a lot of benefits under GST. So this is kind of a self-explanatory thing wherein it provides benefits to the economy. How does it benefit to the economy? Various pointers are there. Of course, when GST has come in, the economy is grown up. So the revenue for the government is also grown up. That is how it is beneficial for the economy. It also simplified. Earlier we have seen, right? Simplified because there was tax on tax, there was dual taxation and multiple levies. All of that is getting replaced with GST. That's why it has a simplified tax structure. And tax compliance also easy. Earlier, you had different registrations in different states because wherever you're making supply, you have to register. But in GST, the compliance has become very easy because there is only one portal. You don't have to mention excise in one place and VAT in one place. Whatever sales you do, you will levy GST, which will be under the one GST portal. It is also advantageous for trade and industry because you get seamless flow of credit, right? We have seen all this practically with numbers, correct? That the credit earlier was blocked. Now you will get the credits. So it is advantageous for the trade and industry. So these are the various pointers, but in crux, it is beneficial to overall sector for the GST implementation purposes. Next, we'll go to the constitutional provisions. But before that, any questions on this? For immovable property, what tax is applicable? See, for immovable property, you have stamp duties. So your respective state governments will collect the stamp duties because on land, the constitution provision says that you cannot collect taxes on land. Okay. So it has to be either collected by the state government or it cannot be collected. There is no option available for you to collect any taxes on the land. That's why land is excluding because in the constitution itself, they have said that you cannot collect taxes on the land. So that's why GST is not levied on land. Difference between GSP and ASP. GSP interacts directly with the GST portal. Okay. And from GSP, ASP is there because a direct interaction happens by the GST Suvidha provided with the GST portal. And this ASPs provide you with the applications because each industry, each kind of a sector may require a different application. So these ASPs provide as a bridge between GSPs and the end customer. Okay, so GSPs first interact with the GST portal, and with the GSPs, the ASPs interact and have a kind of application for the end customers. Is GST applicable on medicines? See, when we go to exemptions, your question will get clarified, Shriyari. Medicines as such is taxable, but hospitals are exempted because healthcare is exempted. Whether medicines provided by such hospital will be exempted, we will have to go and see that exemption. Then we will have clarity on this. If UT without legislation makes supply to a state, what would be charged? Come on, this we have answered last session itself. If there is a union territory without legislation and they make a supply to a state, what would be charged? According to you, what will they charge? UTGST. It is a transfer from a UT without legislation and supplied to a state which is a normal state. So what will be charged? Well, there is mixed answers. Few people are saying UTGST. UTGST will be charged when there is a transaction within the state, within a union territory, right? In our example, it is a transfer from a union territory to a state. So this will be treated as interstate supply. Few people have given the correct answer that it will be IGST. and not UTGST. It will be IGST. Correct, Abhishek. Exception to levy of GST is land and not immovable property. CST Naveen applies only to these 5 products. Apart from this, it doesn't apply to any other products. Right. This PPT, yes, it will be shared, so you can review, see that later on. What are the taxes which is not subsumed under GST? Soumya, you got your answer that it will be IGST. What are the taxes which is not subsumed is mentioned here. So only these products, what we have mentioned on that, taxes is not subsumed and customs duty is not subsumed. As we see, VAT is subsumed, but for certain products it applies. But apart from that, for all other products, it will always be GST itself. As I said, there are some exceptions. Only on these exceptional products, there is VAT, state excise, and central excise. But on all other products, it is GST itself. This you may have to remember saying that on what product, what taxes is levied, because it may come to you as a part of a multiple choice question as well. Correct. So these 5 union territories, which are without legislation, they have a uniform UT-GST Act. Okay, so then we spoke about the various things here on the benefits of GST. Correct, Omkar. So when we discuss or when there is a news on tariff war, it is on the customs duty itself. Because what happens when you sell some goods from your country to another country, right? So other country is forced to import. Like see a typical case when US is saying about tariff war, US wants the domestic production to happen, right? So if some goods are imported to US from India and it levies some tariff, then those products becomes costlier, and then Indian suppliers will not be able to export it because the customer will say, no, your product is costlier because apart from your pricing, I have to pay the tariff also. So that's why to discourage such products or to discourage imports, some countries impose tariffs. Okay, import duty they levy. Okay, now getting into the constitutional provisions. What is the importance of constitutional provisions? Why we need to know? As we had seen, the GST was supposed to come in 2000 itself, but there was a lot of delay because of these constitutional hurdles. What kind of levy we should have? We know GST is a dual levy, right? Center also can collect and state also collect on a intrastate transaction. But before GST came in, there was no such dual levy. We had a specific list called as union list, state list, and concurrent list. So whatever taxes has to be levied by the central government was there under the central list. Whatever taxes has to be paid, can be paid by the can be collected by the state government, that is VAT, entertainment tax, professional tax. This was there in their state list. So there was specific bifurcation of what is there in the central list, what is there in the state list, and what is there in the concurrent list. So, but the government said that when we get in GST, we cannot have separate levies. So then it'll be same like before. So we should have a system wherein on one transaction, even the state government can collect taxes and central government also can collect taxes. So that's why they said we need to bring in dual powers. But constitution did not have that power. That's why it was important to amend that constitutional clause saying that what can we do such that on one transaction, both state government and central government can collect taxes. So they said, okay, we have to amend the constitutional powers. Okay, we have to amend the constitutional powers. So that's when the constitutional change happened. So that is what we will see that in this topic of constitutional provisions. What are all the changes and what happened to bring the GST into picture? So Indian government is at the helm of it, saying that okay, Indian government will decide everything. Within Indian government, you have union government, which is basically the central government. Then you have the state government and the local government. State government is all the states, and local government is within the states. You have some municipal bodies, you have panchayats. They are all covered under the local government. Okay, so you have union government, state government, and local government. And this is how the structure of running a government works in this federal system of India. Why is it called federal system? Because you have state government and you have central government. Two governments running a state are running the country. Similarly, we have a federal system in the US that each state has a state policy and a central has a central policy. That is on the provision of the framework of the Indian government. Then we have constitution. Constitution is the primarily statutory body or the statutory power giving authority from which everything flows in. Now, this constitution has primarily the preamble, which defines what is India and how the India will work. It is basically saying that it's a democratic country. And this constitution has 25 parts in it with 448 articles. When we say articles, it is equivalent to our sections. When we read the law, it is called sections. In the constitution, it is called as articles. So it has 448 articles and 12 schedules. Now, there are certain specific articles which are relevant for taxation purposes, which we have to understand before getting into the constitutional amendments with GST. First is Article 265. Okay, before that, we need to understand what is ultra virus. Okay, because we will use the word ultra virus over here quite very time. Now, what is the meaning of this ultra virus? If you have been given a power to collect taxes on income, okay, so say the constitution gave power to the income tax to collect taxes on your income. Now, if this income tax levies any taxes beyond your income, okay, then it is called ultra virus, which means they're doing it outside the power or without power. Okay, so anything which is done without power is called as ultra vires or ultra virus, which means that you do not have the power, but you're still trying to extend your power. That is called as ultra virus, which is you're crossing beyond your power. Okay, so who will decide whether this law is virus or ultra virus? The constitution or the Supreme Court or the High Court will decide. If somebody files a petition, say when the GST came in, also they would have filed a petition saying that it is collected on goods and services, which is ultra virus. Then the High Courts read through the provisions of the law and they said, no, it is not ultra virus. It is within the power because there is a constitutional amendment and constitution gives the power to levy taxes on goods and services. So it is not ultra virus. Okay. There is one article which was there before the amendment and it is there even now, which is called as Article 265. Article 265 prohibits arbitrary tax collection. Okay. Nobody can collect tax without the authority of law. So that is what Article 265 says, that no tax shall be levied or collected except by the authority of the law. That is all Article 265 says. In simple words, it says no tax shall be levied or collected except by the authority of the law. So to collect any taxes, you should have authority. Okay. There shall be levied taxes on some activity for which you have the power. Without power, you cannot do anything. Right? Now, if you have to levy GST without amending that constitution, then the GST law itself can be challenged, saying that you do not have the power to collect taxes on the same transaction, both center and state. So it will be treated as ultra virus. Right? So any taxation which you collect should be with authority of law. Since they did this constitutional amendment, they had made changes in the constitution. Now GST is within its power and it is not ultra virus. It is a correct tax. It is levied with the authority of law. Okay. Now for this, you understand there are certain case laws to understand. Various case laws, I've just taken up two to understand. In the case of Lord Krishna Sugar Mills versus Union of India, what happened in this case? They were sugar merchants. Now these sugar merchants, the government or the local body said that if you do certain exports, then fine. If you do not do it, then we'll charge extra taxes. So what it says is sugar merchants had to meet some export targets in a promotion scheme which is started by the government. Okay. But if they fell short of the target, saying that, okay, you have to, the government then wanted that lot of exports happens. So to pressurize that, they should have encouraged it, but they have indirectly pressurized. And they've said that you have to meet some export targets to whom? To the sugar merchants. And they said if you do not meet the target, if there is a shortfall, then an additional excise duty will be levied. On manufacture, excise duty is levied as fine, right? Because excise duty also got the power from the constitution. But then they said that if you do not meet your export targets, then we will levy additional excise duty on the shortfall of the exports which you do. So then the sugar merchants were not happy. They filed a case. They lost it. Then they went to the High Court saying that, see, these government is trying to collect taxes from us on the shortfall of exports. Now, we couldn't meet the exports. That is our bad luck. But how can you levy taxes on the shortfall? So then the Supreme Court decided saying that the government on its own cannot levy this tax by itself because it has not been passed by the parliament. You may want to encourage your export, but you cannot levy taxes in that guise. And the parliament did not give you this power. So you cannot levy any extra duty. This was held as ultra virus. They had challenged Article 265. Article 265 is available to every citizen of India, right? The constitution can be read and used by every citizen of India. And wherever you feel that you have been charged with anything which is without power, you can challenge it under a writ jurisdiction. You can file a writ application and say that this person or the government is collecting taxes without its power. So that's what these Lord Krishna Sugar Mills merchants had done it. And they said that they were collecting additional taxes. This has to get struck down. The court read that, yes, what you're saying is right. The government cannot collect any additional taxes. Second instance is in case of Tankul versus Simirai. All the villages were paying rupees 50 a day to the headman in place of a custom to render free a trades labor. There was a headman who was saying that every villager has to do some labor work. If they do not do a labor work, then you have to pay 50 rupees. So these laborers went on to file a case and they went to again a High Court or a Supreme Court. And the court said that the amount of rupees 50 which was collected as a tax, because you didn't do your labor work, you have to pay tax. So this collection by the headman was also treated as ultra virus, and it is treated as it violated the principles of Article 265 because there was no such power given to this headman by the constitution. Since no power was given to this headman, then whatever collection he was doing, it was invalid and illegal. So that is how the power of Article 265 is there, that you can levy something which is there as given to you as a power. How does the power come? Through the article is in the constitution. And if it is there in the constitution, then you can make a law. If it is not there in the constitution, you cannot make the law. Okay. Then levy. What is levy? Levy, when we say, we have used the word so many times, levy, there has to be power. Levy refers to imposition of tax when all the taxing ingredients are found to be present in a transaction. We will use levy in the GST law also, that there has to be a levy provision. Similarly, there has to be a levy provision under the constitution as well. If there is a levy provision, then you can apply, otherwise you cannot. Now, to levy any taxes, this will use in the GST also when we go to charging provision. There has to be 5 ingredients, or basically 4 ingredients should be sufficient to decide whether the levy is correct or incorrect. What are those ingredients? First is there should be a taxable event. When you will charge somebody should be clearly defined. So when we say income tax, when we say GST, when we say excise duty, these four components should minimum be there. Only then the levy is treated as constitutional or levy is said to have power. What are these four things? First is there should be a event, which is the taxable event. What is the tax measure? How you will pay tax? Will you pay based on number of sale, number of units, or on the sale price? That has to be clearly defined. That is called as tax measure. Third is the rate of tax also should be clearly mentioned. You cannot say the rate of tax will be decided at the time. Okay, it should be mentioned in the law itself what will be the rate of tax which will be levied, and the person who shall pay such taxes will also has to be mentioned. Okay, so there has to be four ingredients for any levy. First is there has to be a taxable event, there has to be a tax measure, there has to be rate of tax, and the person who shall pay the tax has to be defined. Okay, this is not there clearly in your study material. Please note this down that this will be helpful to you in studying any law. Okay, could be company law, could be income tax law, could be GST law. This four ingredients has to be there to call a levy as constitutionally valid or the levy to be accurate. Okay. Then we go to Article 245. Article 245 of the Constitution says that the Parliament here means state central government, the central government shall have the powers to make laws for the whole of India or any part of India. So central government has the power to make laws for India. That's why you have Indian income tax, one income tax for all the states because it is there under the central government's purview. They can make one law for whole of India, right? Then the legislature of the state governments. So basically what is being said here is if any law is power is given to the central government, to what extent it will apply. If the parliament has been given to make any law, that will apply to whole of India. Similarly, if the legislature of the state makes any laws, the boundaries within which it will apply is it will apply to whole of that state. The state government of Karnataka cannot say that I will levy tax on a sale which is happening in the state of Maharashtra. They do not have the power, they do not have the jurisdiction. The central government can make laws which is applicable to whole of India, and the state government can make laws which is applicable to whole of its respective state. And no law made by the parliament will be invalidated due to any extraterritorial operations. So this is a protection which is given saying that if the central government levies any taxes, it will not be treated as invalid because it is an extraterritorial operation. Like when you do any imports, right? When you do any imports, on that we pay taxes. But can somebody challenge that the supply is made from outside India? How can the Indian government make it? So there, this Article 245 again gives a protection saying that no law which is made shall be treated as invalid due to extraterritorial operation because extraterritorial means outside the territory. So anything which is done outside the territory transaction, on that also if the Indian government is levying taxes, the constitution says it will still be valid because for some reason they may have to tax it. Like when you import, if you do not tax it, then the Indian economy will get shaken up. Okay? For that purpose, you may have to levy IGST on imports and you may have to say the taxpayer that you have to deduct TDS. But that can be challenged saying that TDS, why I should deduct from a supplier who's outside India, right? In your income tax, you have foreign tax deductions. Why is this correct? Because if you do not have these deductions, then the control of the government is not there. That's why this is also important. So you cannot challenge any tax laws on the basis saying that it is extraterritorial because such extraterritorial is permitted for various control purposes. Okay. Now, other aspect to see in this Article 245 is Parliament can make laws for whole or any part of India, which means that the central government can make laws for the states also. Will it do? It will not do. But in case of emergency, when the state government is not operational, then the central government can make laws for the state also. Then next article which is relevant is Article 246, which provides the authority for the union government and state government for levying any taxes. Okay, so the power to pay any taxes, it could be either pre-GST or now. Article 246 is the power to the state government and central government to levy taxes. That is the article which is giving power. Say income tax, say VAT, excise, all of that was there under Article 246. We are not yet come to the GST. We are all talking about the constitutional powers from the day Constitution had come in. Article 246 gives the power to the state government to collect taxes. Now, how did they collect? They have collected it through this manner, through seventh schedule. In Article 246, they had various schedules. In that, one of the schedule was seventh schedule. And this seven schedules had three lists, like I had discussed in the beginning, that there are three lists in this seventh schedule, which is list 1, list 2, and list 3. List 1 is called as union list. List 2 is the state list, and list 3 is the concurrent list. Okay. So in list 1, whatever powers that the union government has, that is there in list 1. Now, those were there in the entries 82 to 91. In list 2, that was state government, what power they have, that was there under entries 45 to 60. You don't have to remember the entries, this is only for your reference, but you need to refer that saying, okay, list 1 is a union list, list 2 is a state list, and list 3 is the concurrent list. So that is how Article 246 gave power to the various governments. Now, what happened? In this, there was no power to collect GST both by the center and state, because any power has to come from Article 246. Now, Article 246 said, okay, this is separate. Union list is list 1, union government is list 1, state government is list 2, and list 3 is concurrent government. Is a concurrent list, like stamp duties, CST, and any kind of taxes like service tax was there under the concurrent list, because the service is provided within the state but levied by the central government. All of that was there under the concurrent list. Now, under which list do you think GST will fit in? Under list 3. You are saying no, it will not fit anywhere. Okay. It will not fit under list 3 also, because even if it is under concurrent list, the power will be with only one government. It cannot go with both the government. When we say concurrent list, the concurrent list will be under the concurrence of the state government saying, okay, state government, you levy, or of the concurrence of the state central government saying that state government, you levy. But it cannot be dual levy. So that's why there was a challenge saying that under which list do we levy? There was no specific list which says that dual levy was possible. So what they did is they brought in a new article through the Constitutional 101st Amendment Act. They brought in a new article called as Article 246A, which said that, yes, we have a new article through which you can levy GST, both central government and state government can levy. That is when Article 246A became the article for collection of taxes under the old regime. That is, any taxes collected before GST is called as old regime. And the power to collect GST came under the new regime by way of insertion of new Article 246A. Okay. So we will go into Article 246A and understand what are all is mentioned there, which is relevant for us. Does CA professional appear before the court in the matter of dispute between the client and the court? Yes, they do appear. Correct. So it means that no tax shall be levied until it is mentioned in the constitution. Correct. It has to be mentioned in the constitution, only then it is levied. The person who shall pay is the end consumer or the final seller who is mentioned in relation to what? No, state government cannot counter the laws which is made by the central government because it is specifically bifurcated.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, why GST could not be entered into concurrent list if the power has both with the state government and the central government? So they can make their own respective laws for that.
See, with respect to concurrent list is like a residuary list, saying that in the first list and in the second list, there was no power to levy service tax. Okay. There was a power to levy taxes on sale of goods in the list 2. And for any interstate movement of goods, it was there under the list 1. Now, when service tax has to be levied, there was no power under list 1, neither under list 2. But then they saw that yes, there was a possibility that to bring it under list 3. So they brought it into list 3. And then what happened? Service tax was levied under list 3, but the power to levy was not given to both center and state. It was only with the central government. So even if it comes under list 3, only one government can levy, both the governments cannot levy. And the discussion on GST was that we are foregoing our power from the list 2. So we need taxes, we need equivalent taxes. So we need dual taxes that both center and state will collect, which was not there under list 3. That's why there was a need to bring in new article 246A.
Sir, one question. Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, the concurrent list actually says that if any law made by the central government is repugnating with the state government, then the central law will prevail over the state law. Sir, is it correct for concurrent list?
Correct, correct. That's why concurrent list had power, more power for the central government than the state government.
Sir, then it will override the Article 245.
No, it will not article because Article 245 is also is in the Constitution and Article 246 also is in the Constitution. So Article 246 said that wherever there is no mention of any items in list 1 or list 2, then it will be under list 3, and list 3 itself said that the power will be with the central government. So when specifically it is given in the Constitution itself, then you cannot say it is violative of Article 245.
Okay, sir.
And where was the power of union territories? Union territories were being given by the list 1 itself. That's why for union territories, you have a governor equivalent position like lieutenant general who's there. Union territories will come under the purview of list 1 itself. Okay. So now we'll get into Article 246A, which is the actual power under which the GST is collected. Now, what does our Article 246A says that there is no integration in earlier laws, which was resulting in cascading effect. That's why a new act to integrate all the taxes. That is what was the need for new article was to give concurrent powers to the parliament and state government. That is one transaction. On this transaction, there has to be concurrent powers. There's a difference between concurrent powers and what you call it as concurrent list. Okay, concurrent list did not give you concurrent power. It gave supremacy to the central government. But here, state government want equal say. That's why they said you bring in a new concurrent list wherein if any transaction is happening in my state, I will also get taxes, whether you get or no, I don't know. So central government said, no, we also want taxes. So on a transaction within the state, CGST and SGST both has to be levied. How? Because of this constitutional amendment. Okay. So they wanted a new provision wherein there is a concurrent power to the state government and central government, and the law of integrated GST on interstate transactions. So within the state, okay, central government will get half, state government will get half. But in case of interstate, will it be the supplier state or receiver state who will get the revenue? Who should get the revenue according to you? Now, I am manufacturing my goods in this state. I am a manufacturer in the state of Tamil Nadu. I am supplying to Maharashtra. The consumption is happening in Maharashtra. So, who should get the tax? Will it be the state of Tamil Nadu or the state of Maharashtra? Okay. As I can see in the chats, there is a lot of fight. Few people are favoring Tamil Nadu, few people are saying Maharashtra. But that's the reason to resolve this fight. They said nothing doing. On interstate transactions, we will levy a integrated GST so that within the states there is no fight. Okay. So that's where the second point came in the constitutional amendment saying that don't collect any taxes in your state, because if I give power to one state, then the other state will tell, no, it has come to my state also, so give me also taxes. To resolve this issue, they said on any interstate transactions, we will levy integrated GST. But how the credit will go back to that state, that also we'll see. But as of now, the power said that, okay, on levy of integrated GST on all your interstate transactions. Then there has to be provisions to determine what is the place of supply. That is, whether it is interstate or intrastate, that itself can be a debate. To resolve that debate, the constitution has to specify the principles to determine what is the place of supply and when a supply will be treated as interstate or intrastate. That also the power was given to the parliament. Then they said GST will be levied on all goods and services except alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So in the constitution itself, they've said that the GST will be levied on all goods and services except alcoholic liquor for human consumption. That is fine because constitution itself has now clarified this point. So that is what was the requirement. So then came in Article 246A, which gives power to make laws with respect to state goods and service tax, both joint power to the central government and state government. Then Article 269A, which gives power for levy and collection of interstate supply and import, of course, to the central government. Then Article 279A. So what all amendments happen? You can see after Article 246, there was Article 247. They had to fit in something, so they brought this amendment by inserting A. So after 246, 246A was inserted, then 247. Similarly, Article 269 was there, then Article 269A was inserted, and then 270. So all this A series, you see three important addition of the articles in the Constitution. Article 246A, Article 269A, and then Article 279A. Now we'll read through each of these articles. Article 246A, which gives power to levy GST, is a very important article. It says that notwithstanding anything contained in Article 246 and Article 254, when it starts with a wording called notwithstanding, this is a very good legal interpretation to understand what does notwithstanding mean. Notwithstanding mean it's a non-obstant clause, which means that notwithstanding anything in Article 246A, because Article 246A gave power to the central government, state government, and concurrent list. Now leave away that list. That is what is the meaning of notwithstanding, which means whatever is stated in Article 246, that will not hold good. Okay. Notwithstanding anything contained in Article 246 and Article 254, the Parliament, what do you mean by Parliament? Central government, and subject to Clause 2, the legislature of each state. The legislature of each state means the state government. Notwithstanding anything contained in Article 246 and Article 254, the central government and state government shall have power to make laws with respect to goods and services tax imposed by the union or by such state. So now that dichotomy saying that the who will levy tax is gone. In Article 246A, they are saying that notwithstanding anything contained in 246, the central government and state government has both has the power to make laws in respect of goods and services tax which is imposed by such state. Okay. Then it says it is subject to clause 2. So what is this clause 2? Clause 2 is saying that the parliament will have exclusive powers to make laws with respect to goods and services where the supply of goods or of services or both takes place in the course of interstate trade or commerce. So in Article 246A itself, that fight has been resolved. Okay. The subject to 2, it says that whenever there is any interstate transaction, the same shall be treated as interstate trade or commerce. Okay. And the power to make laws with respect to this interstate trade or commerce lies with the central government. So wherever it's a constitutional terms, right? Constitution will not say central government or state government. Constitution uses specific words. When they say parliament, it is the parliament which is the central government. So they have said parliament will have exclusive powers to make laws with respect to GST, goods and service tax, where the supply of goods or services takes place in the course of interstate trade or commerce. And when it is other than interstate, which is intrastate within the state, then both central government and state government will have power to levy the taxes. So what do we conclude from this? Central government and state government shall have power to make laws with respect to GST, and center will have exclusive powers to make laws with respect to GST when there is a interstate supply. And in respect of 5 petroleum products, what we have seen, GST provisions are postponed. Okay. These 5 petroleum products will be taxable later on. That is what Article 246A is saying. Do we expect theoretical questions? Because you have a one theoretical part also in your syllabus, in your exam patterns, you will have problems, and one part will be theoretical as well. Can state governments alter the GST on their own, or approval of the CG is required? We have to come back to, there are 3 amendments which I had said, right? Article 246A, Article 269A, and Article 279A. So when we read through Article 279A, Omkar, your query will get resolved. Okay? तो ये है अमेंडमेंट्स जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट्स में किए गए थे 246A, 269A और 279A. 246A ने बता दिया है कि कौन सा जीएसटी किसको पे करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है. आर्टिकल 269A में पावर दिया गया है इंटरस्टेट सप्लाई में सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को, और आर्टिकल 279 बताता है कि जीएसटी काउंसिल को क्या पावर मिलेगा. ठीक है. So before we go into the next article, which is Article 269A, can we take a quick break of 5 minutes? We'll take a break of 5 minutes and assemble back and read through the other provisions of the Constitution. Okay. So we discussed on Article 246A, wherein it says that uh, Parliament and the state government, that is the central government and state government, both have equal powers. Okay. Now we'll go to Article 269A. 246A ho gaya. Now Article 269A. Article 269A says that goods and services tax on supply of interstate trade or commerce shall be levied. That is, any kind of interstate transactions you do shall be levied and collected by the government of India. And such tax, okay, it's not that only on the interstate central government will collect. Interstate transaction, the government of India will be collecting it and shall be apportioned between the union and the states in the manner as may be provided by the Parliament by law on the recommendation of the GST Council, Goods and Service Tax Council. Okay. So whatever collection happens of the integrated tax, when is integrated tax collected? On any interstate transaction, correct? So goods and service tax on supply in the course of interstate trade or commerce shall be levied and collected by the government of India. Fine. And such tax, so there is no dispute there, saying that if it is, what will happen otherwise is, under the, before the VAT also came in, I will supply from one state to another state. Okay. Say I am transporting some goods from Karnataka to Tamil Nadu. Supply starts from Karnataka, on the way Andhra also comes, and then there is Tamil Nadu. So there are three states which can get involved. So Andhra will tell, no, maximum portion, my state roads have been used, so taxes has to come to me. Karnataka government will say that I have, from my state, the sale has happened, so the tax has to come to me. Tamil Nadu will tell that the consumption is happening in my state, so taxes has to come to me. So how to resolve this dispute within the states? Okay, that will result in additional disputes. That's why they have said that no such dispute should happen. That's why any goods and service tax on supplies in the course of interstate trade or commerce will be levied and collected by the government of India. So that there will be one person who will collect, that is the central government, and they shall apportion between the union and the states. In which manner, that will be decided by the Parliament again through another law, and which will be recommended by the GST Council, so that at the transaction level there is no dispute. Okay. Now, for the purpose of this clause, there is an explanation which is included. For the purpose of this clause, supply of goods or of services are both in the course of import into the territory of India shall be deemed to be supply of goods or services in the course of interstate trade or commerce. So they're given an explanation or a clarification. It's in the clarificatory nature, which says that for the purpose of this clause, which is for the purpose of 269A, any supply of goods in the course of import shall always be treated as an interstate transaction. Now, how do we understand this? Let's take an example. I am a importer. I am importing some goods from USA. Okay. And I am having my registered office in the state of Karnataka. I have an office in Bangalore. That is my main office. Now I'm importing from Mangalore, which is also one of the coastal states in the state of Karnataka. Now, when I'm importing at a port in Mangalore and moving the goods to Bangalore, it is within the state, correct? So, as we know that on import, what will be levied? Customs duty will be levied. Along with customs duty, GST will be levied. So, in this movement of goods from the Mangalore port to Karnataka, what will be the GST which will be levied? Because customs duty will definitely apply. No escape from there. But for transfer within the state, will the CGST, SGST will apply or IGST? That movement is happening within the state. When we know that it is a transaction within the state, then CGST and SGST will apply. Correct? And when it is interstate transaction, IGST will apply. So if you are saying CGST and SGST, if you are saying only CGST, and most of you are saying it is a IGST transaction. Okay. So the final conclusion is it is a transaction within the state, but it is a import transaction. Okay. Since it's a transaction of import, this explanation says any import what you do within wherein you do movement within the state, but it is basically a import transaction. Such import transactions are treated as a interstate transaction only and nothing like a intrastate transaction. It is a interstate transaction. Okay. So import is within, say in Bangalore itself, you import and you clear it within Bangalore itself. Still, it is a interstate transactions. So when you clear your goods, you have to pay in the bill of entry the customs duty and IGST. Okay, you will not pay CGST or SGST. What is the meaning of apportion? Apportion का मतलब है divide. So when you import, when any taxes is collected on an interstate transaction, taxes is collected by the central government, then it is apportioned between the or distributed between the central government and state government. Okay. So that is Article 269A. Further, Article 269A says that first clause we have read. Okay. Second to fourth clause says that where any amount is collected as IGST and has been used for payment of SGST or vice versa. Okay. So we will see a chart saying that how this IGST gets transferred as SGST. Because when I charge somebody IGST, the other person will claim the credit of this IGST. Correct? Agar he will claim the credit, then the central government will give that credit to that state. Correct? So, because say I am selling to somebody and that person is claiming that credit, he will offset that credit with SGST because we know IGST can be utilized with IGST or it can be offset with SGST or CGST. So if somebody offsets that with SGST, then that credit has to go to that state. That is what it says here, where any amount is collected as IGST and been used for payment of SGST, it will not form part of the consolidated fund of India. Which means when they say in the first clause that it will be apportioned, the apportionment will happen after it is going to respective states, and whatever is left out, that we called as the funds left in the consolidated fund of India, only that has to get distributed. Okay. And last clause says that the parliament is empowered to formulate the principles regarding the place of supply and when supply of goods or services occurs in interstate trade or commerce. Okay. So the parliament has been given the power to formulate the principle saying that what is the place of supply. Why? Because what is interstate transaction will be decided by two criteria. What is the location of supplier and what is the place of supply. If the location of supplier and place of supply are in the same state, it is treated as a intrastate transaction. When the location of supplier and place of supply, please make a note of this. When the location of supplier and place of supply are in two different states, then it is an interstate transaction. If both this location of supplier, place of supply is in the same state, then it is an intrastate. If both are in different state, then it is an interstate transaction. Clear till here? Now we will understand how is this IGST used for SGST and other ways. Okay. So this is an Excel sheet wherein we will explain a transaction and we'll see how does this work. What you have to write? You have to write that what is a interstate transaction and what is a intrastate transaction. Intrastate transactions means within the state, right? When is it treated as an intrastate? When the location of supplier and place of supply are in the same state, then it is intrastate. And when the location of supplier and place of supply are in different state, then it is a interstate transaction. Okay. Now, there is a supply which is happening within the state by Rahul Dravid to Anil Kumble. Okay. Both of them are in the state of Karnataka. Okay. If it is within the state, then we know what they will charge. What will they charge?
CGST and SGST.
Correct. So that's why when the sale is happened by Rahul Dravid to Anil Kumble, he is supplying for 10,000 rupees. He is charging CGST and SGST. So the total price charged by Rahul Dravid to Anil Kumble is 11,800. Okay. This he will remit to the government. So by this, how much is going to the government? 900 rupees CGST is going to the central government. CG here means central government. And Karnataka is Karnataka here. So 900 rupees will go to the central government and 900 will go to the Karnataka state government. When the supply is happening outside the state, now Anil Kumble has bought it. He is selling it to Sehwag, who is in Delhi. Okay. When he is in Delhi, the value of supply, he is supplying the same item with his margin for 12,000 rupees. So when the supply happens outside the state, how much, what will be charged? IGST, because it is an interstate transaction. So he is charging IGST at 18%. Okay. When he is paying this 18% tax, he has already have the credit, correct? Because we know CGST can be utilized against CGST, and if there is no CGST liability, we can utilize for IGST. So I have bought from Rahul Dravid, who has charged me 900 CGST and 900 SGST. I can claim the credit. So I will claim the credit of 900 here of CGST, and I can claim the credit of SGST also, because SGST can be utilized with SGST and then with IGST. Since I have my liability of IGST, both the credit of C and S I can utilize. Okay, so I've utilized the credit of SGST. Balance, whatever is left, that I have to pay from my pocket, because whatever credit I have, input tax credit I have utilized, whatever is the balance, I have to pay by my cash itself. So this I will pay to the government. So through this, what is happening? Credit of CGST has been utilized. Ultimately, your credit of SGST has to happen. For 900, it doesn't matter, because earlier both I'm using CGST against IGST, both are to the central government, so no adjustment required for this. But credit of SGST, when I'm utilizing and paying to the central government, from the Karnataka government, which they had already got, I have to recover from them. Correct? So we will recover 900 from the state government and give it to the central government. And this 360 is IGST. This will go to the central government itself. Clear till here? Because there is another complication. If you have understood till here, then we can proceed further.
सर अगर IGST हम पे कर रहे हैं 2160 और उसमें CGST 900 एडजस्ट किया, SGST 900 एडजस्ट किया, ठीक है, तो जो
Correct.
डिफरेंस का अमाउंट रहेगा वो 360 वो IGST में पेबल होगा,
करेक्ट,
बिकॉज जो हमारा पेबल है 2160 वो IGST है.
परफेक्ट.
ठीक है, थैंक यू.
सेकेंड वाले में क्या हो रहा है? अनिल कुंबले जो कर्नाटका में सेवा को बेच रहा है, इंटरस्टेट ट्रांजैक्शन है, तो वो आईजीएसटी चार्ज कर रहा है, तो इसीलिए आईजीएसटी आ रहा है यहाँ पे. अब वो आईजीएसटी पूरा पे करेगा गवर्नमेंट को? नहीं, क्योंकि आईजीएसटी जो पेमेंट है उसमें से क्रेडिट उसके पास जो है वो उसको यूटिलाइज करेगा. तो सीजीएसटी का क्रेडिट 900 रुपए है, SGST का क्रेडिट 900 रुपए है, बैलेंस 360 वो गवर्नमेंट को पे करेगा। तो 360 गवर्नमेंट को डायरेक्टली मिल रहा है, लेकिन ये जो 900 रुपए है जिसका क्रेडिट वो यूज कर रहा है, वो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से लेके गवर्नमेंट, जब आप रिटर्न फाइल करोगे आप बोलोगे कि मैं क्रेडिट यूटिलाइज कर रहा हूँ SGST का, तो फिर SGST किसको गया हुआ है? कर्नाटका को गया हुआ है। कर्नाटका से लेके वो 900 रुपीज सेंट्रल को ट्रांसफर करेंगे।
So,
There will be a loss for the government. Yes, not 1,800. There will not be any loss because 900 was what the Karnataka government had got. Now they're recovering from it because the transaction of intrastate is now getting at as a interstate. So Karnataka government had got 900. Now it will give that 900. It is not giving anything extra. So there is no loss. Whatever it had, it is giving back. Rate of GST will be different, but for our easy understanding, we are considering that if the product is same, then the rate will be same. So same product is getting transferred, so the rate will remain same. Okay, so this is how the first mechanism works. Now, when Sehwag has brought it, he is selling to another customer within Delhi. Okay, now supply is happening within the state by Sehwag to Ishan Sharma, both are within the state of Delhi. Now he is charging 14,400 for this. Since it is within the state of Delhi, he is charging CGST and SGST because it is a intrastate transaction. Okay, so 9% on this makes it 1,296. Now, how will this Sehwag discharge this tax? For him, CGST is payable of 1,296. What credit does he have? He has credit of IGST. IGST bucket in that flowchart, what did we saw? IGST can be utilized for IGST and it can be utilized with CGST and SGST. So what I'll do is, I have credit of IGST. My liability is 1,296. I will utilize 1,296. There is no credit of any CGST which I have. So payable to the government is nothing, right? And this is a transaction both within central government because CGST is also central government, IGST is also with the central government. So no adjustment required here. Now SGST, 9% SGST, 1,296 I have to pay, right? How much credit is left out with me? I had credit of 2,160. From this 2,160, I have utilized 1,296. Balance jo bach raha hai 864. So I will utilize this 864. तो ये क्या हो रहा है? This has to go to the state government because tax क्या payable है? SGST payable है. So the central government will reduce and this 864 will go to the state government. And the credit of SGST is 0. Balance from the output of SGST, I have credit of IGST which is getting reduced. उसको कम करके 432 is payable. This will go to the state government directly. So ultimately क्या हो रहा है? Ultimately 1,296 has to go to the central government, 1,296 has to go to the state government. Assume Ishan Sharma is the final consumer. उसके बाद there is no credit which is happening. He is consuming these goods, right? Ultimately, who is consuming will pay the taxes. So when he buys these goods, he will pay 1,296 and 1,296. So ultimately, when we do all the additions, 1,296 is going to the government of Delhi. Karnataka is not getting anything. Central government is getting 1,296 for this transaction. That is how the credit flow mechanism works through this IGST route. So IGST becomes a conduit saying that if you make any interstate transaction, we will help you transfer the credit and it will ultimately go to that state where it is consumption is happening. Very good question, but the answer lies in the previous discussion, Abhishek. Delhi is a union territory, but it is a union territory with legislature. Yeah, can you explain minus 900? See, the minus 900, why it is happening? Earlier, it is a sale within the state, so it is going to the state government, right? But the state government cannot enjoy, because when a person sells to B will again sell it. Now, when this B person is selling to C, he is utilizing the credit what is got from his purchaser. So how will he get that credit? When the government transfers the credit. That's why government is transferring the credit, because when I discharge this 2160, I have utilized the credit of SGST. So if I've utilized it, that much tax has to go to the central government. So it is taking up a kind of picking up from the Karnataka government's kitty and giving it to the central government's kitty.
Hello, sir.
Raise the ticket online.
If
It's time sensitive. Visit support.onlinelane.com to raise a ticket.
Hello, sir. I have doubt.
yes, please.
Sir, what is the regular timings of this for this subject?
So BOS related, please check your BOS website and BOS app. If there is any question related to subject, please ask here.
Related to sir, this topic name I'm asking. Sorry, this topic name.
Sir, the schedule is given. Please follow the schedule.
No, sir. This sum I'm asking. This sum supply within the state by round.
Please hear the recordings again. You will get to know what we are discussing. SGST must not be pooled account. Every state must have its own account. Correct. Each state's SGST is different. That's why the revenue to the Karnataka government is different. Revenue to the Delhi government is different. What if person B is final consumer? If person B is final consumer, then there is no flow of credit. That the credit flow will stop there itself. IGST credit, from where it came? Because this person is charged IGST, no? So that's where the credit came. So whenever somebody charges you something, you will get that credit itself. If your vendor has charged you CGST, SGST, you will get credit of CGST, SGST. If the vendor is charged you IGST, you will get IGST credit. How central government gets 864? It get transferred, no, because you are utilizing the credit of IGST, right? You are utilizing the credit of IGST. How 864? Total credit, how much you had? You had 2160. 2160 mein you have utilized 1296. Balance is how much? 2160 minus 1296, 864.
Deepak sir,
Yes, sir.
sorry to disturb you.
Yes, sir.
One student had joined in the name of Ashish Behal. It is your correct name, student? One student has joined with Ashish Behal. Is it your correct name? Otherwise, I will remove you.
Okay.
Continue, sir, please.
Sir, last one.
2160 is not utilized, no, completely. Out of 2160, I have liability of 1296. So I've utilized only 1296. 2160 is my total credit. From this credit, I have utilized 1296. So 1296 is my liability. I can utilize only that much. Balance I will utilize with the SGST liability. you will have computation of CGST, SGST payable when we go to problem solving at the end, because we need to understand the theoretical aspects. Because if you don't understand the theoretical aspects, your concepts will not be clear. That's why we are trying to build up the concepts, because straight away, if I take you to problems, you will not understand it. That's why we are understand the concepts, then solving the problem becomes easier. What if I'm a manufacturer and supplying finished goods to both inter and intrastate? Can I claim ITC? Yes, you can still claim ITC. Manufacturer is receiving payment for his produce from the buyer along with the GST amount. He will not get any credit. No. If he's getting money, still he will get the credit. So commercial transaction is different. The flow of credit moves that the supplier supplies something, he charges GST. That GST is a credit to the buyer. Now this buyer will utilize this credit and then sell it further. So the third buyer will get the credit. That is how the credit of IGST works. Correct. If the transaction is between Karnataka and Delhi person is final consumer, so the IGST will be the central government itself. Correct. So unless you utilize it, that will go to that government itself. From IGST of 2160, we have deducted credit of CGST and SGST. Correct. That is up to that person. So once the second person has taken the credit, he has remitted 2160 to the government, either through credit or through cash. He's remitted. So once he is remitted 2160, that much is the credit which is available to the buyer. Supplier has charged 2160. That becomes a credit to the receiver. Central government got the GST, so 1296 is going to the central government and 1296 is going to the state government. Okay. So now let's come back to our main presentation. I think this is clear now. So this chart and that chart you have to resemble that CGST credit can be utilized with CGST liability, then with IGST. This is what we have done there with numbers. SGST with the SGST liability, then with IGST, IGST with IGST liability, then with C and S in any proportion. Okay, so we're talking about constitutional provisions 246A, then we went to Article 269A. Then 269 say that what is the parliament empowered for. So what does 269A in summary says? GST on supplies in the course of interstate trade or commerce shall be levied and collected by the central government, that is as IGST, and shall be apportioned between union and state. In case of import of goods or services, it will always be treated as interstate trade. So even if you do within the state, but actually it is coming from outside the state, and parliament has said that all imports are treated as treated as interstate. So every import will be treated as an interstate transaction. Where IGST is used for payment of SGST, such amount shall not form part of the consolidate, because as we had seen that will get transferred. So to that extent, it will not be apportioned. Balance, whatever is left, that will be apportioned. Last provision says that Parliament is empowered to formulas for deciding what is the place of supply and when a supply shall be treated as interstate trade or commerce. Okay. Then Article 279A. Article 279A says that there will be a council, there will be a body which will be called as GST Council. Okay. So Article 279A empowers the president to constitute a joint forum of central and state, which will be called as GST Council. So not only the central government, even the state government will be here. So that body will be called as GST Council. Provisions relating to GST Council came into effect on 12th September 2016 itself, and the council was constituted on 15th September. Now, who are the members of this GST Council? The Union Finance Minister will be the chairperson. The Union Minister of State, which is who is in charge of the revenue or finance, will be one of the members, and Minister in charge of finance or taxation or any other member who is nominated by each state government will be the members. So finance minister and finance minister of each of the states will become the members. What is the GST Council? It's the constitutional body for making recommendations to the union and state government on issues relating to goods and service tax. The GST rates, what will they decide? Okay, they make recommendations because the law has to be driven by both union and state. As we had seen, 246A gives power both to the central government and state government. Since it gives power to both the central government and state government, it is important that both of them get equal powers. That's why this council is formed, so that both of them get equal power. Any things which they have to decide, it will be decided jointly by the central government and state government. It is a constitutional body. Why constitutional body? Because it is formed by the constitution itself. Constitution itself says that there will be a body called as GST Council, which will be recommended to the union and state government. So they will do all the recommendations. That's the reason we see that whatever act amendment is happening in the CGST Act, that is happening in the state government in the SGST Act also. Whatever changes happens in the central GST Act, that changes is happening in the Karnataka GST Act, that change is happening in the Rajasthan GST Act. Same effect is happening because everybody has become part of the council. So everybody has agreed to it. So whatever mirror image has to happen, the replication will happen in the respective state, because otherwise what will happen is state government will have a separate rate and central government will have a separate rate. So there will not be any kind of uh, parallel proceeding which will happen. So that's why there has to be a parallel rate. So if CGST is 9%, SGST also has to be 9%. Only then the rate will be common and then it will work out. That's why all rates, all corrections, what is happening in the central GST law is happening in all the state GST law also. Now, what will this GST Council recommend? It will recommend the GST rate, it will recommend the exemptions, किस चीज को exemption देना चाहिए, क्या rate रहना चाहिए products के, what are the principles that should govern place of supply, what is the threshold limit, what are the special provisions which you have to give to special states, like registration limit. We had seen some states 10 lakhs, some states 20 lakhs, some states 40 lakhs. That is all given by the GST Council, and special provisions for special category states, special rates for specified periods, etc. So your GST Council finally has decided there will be 11 special category states: Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Jammu and Kashmir, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, Tripura, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand. Okay. These are all developing states and northeast states for which they need support. So GST Council has decided that we will give 11 special category states special privileges. GST Council shall also recommend the date, right? As of now, in the constitution itself, they've said that on five petroleum products, GST will not be applicable. Okay. Why? Because on this, central government is also getting tax and state government is also getting tax at a different rate. So from a future date, when they decide, these products will come under the purview of GST. As of now, it does not. Okay. So GST Council shall recommend the date when on these 5 petroleum products there will be GST which will come into place. Now, further GST Council's power, 1/2 of the total number of members of the GST Council shall constitute the quorum. So, whatever states are there and the uh, finance minister and the minister for the state, these will be the total members. To constitute a member, at least 50% members should be present to constitute a quorum. Quorum मतलब minimum लोग जो रहने चाहिए meeting के लिए, that is called quorum. So the minimum number of people to start a meeting is quorum, and that is just 50%. If 50% of the members are present, then they can constitute a meeting. Every decision of the GST Council shall be taken at a meeting by a majority of not less than 3/4 of the weighted votes. Okay? So whoever are present, of that present members, 3/4 of the weighted vote which is present and voting will become the 3/4 majority. Say pass hone pe, then it will become a valid and the action will be proposed. Now, how is the 3/4 voting counted? The vote of the central government has a weightage of 1/3. One vote is equal to 1/3 for the central government. And all the votes of state governments put together has a weightage of 2/3. Okay? So, weightage of the central government is 1/3 and all the states put together is 2/3. That is the weightage and the voting mechanism. Then GST constitutional amendments, Article 248 says that the residuary powers to Parliament to make laws, this power is subject to Article 246A because 248, there's another article which says that the Parliament will have powers to make laws. Now, this power is subject to Article 246A. 246A, as we saw, it is the power to make the law for the goods and service tax, to levy taxes on goods and services both by the central and state government. Then Article 249 and 250, Article 249 and 250 has been amended to grant Parliament to make laws in the national interest in the case of emergency. Then Article 268, duties levied by the union but collected and apportioned by the states. Right? So this is another article wherein the taxes is collected by the union but given by the state. Then we have Article 270, where the taxes levied and distributed between the union and state is Article 270. Article 286 gives the restriction wherein the states have no right to impose GST on interstate supply of goods or services or both. Okay, wherein state government will not have power to impose GST on interstate supply. Why? Because it is there only with the central government. And Article 268 says that the power of the parliament to amend the constitution in case any amendment has to happen, right? Like how the constitutional amendment has happened. That happened through 2/3 majority in each house of the parliament and should be ratified by half of the states. Matlab, any changes in the constitution has to get approved by 2/3 majority in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and then it should be approved by each of the state government. So any change in the constitution is not easy task. That's why it took so many years to get confirmation because there are 3 hurdles. One is union government, usme Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha 2/3 majority, and 50% of the state also should give their consent. Any questions? Which state has veto power? Rakesh, no, there's no state which has veto power as such. Correct. If you switch from intrastate to interstate, then state will remit the tax to the center. Correct. And if the transaction goes from interstate to intrastate, then the central government will remit the tax to the state. Perfect. Very good understanding, Abhinav. Ratification, not rectification. Ratification of one half means consent from one half of the states. Yeah, how is two-third power? So whatever votes we have, suppose there is 10 members. Now, if out of 10, say 5 have voted, so it is 50%. So 50% will have weightage of two-third. Okay, 50 into what they will do, 50 divided by 10 is half, half into two-third, they will multiply. So their weightage of the votes is only two-third. So how you do weighted average calculation, no? Similar to that. Yes, yes. The important articles, Anubhav, you will have to remember. Like 246A, 269A, 279A. Those articles you will have to remember. Two 286 clause 3. Restriction on to imposition tax on sale or purchase of goods. So when we say there is a power to collect tax on interstate, there has to be a restriction also. That's why there is a restriction on the states that the states do not have a right to impose any GST on interstate supply of goods or services. They cannot levy tax on any interstate transaction. In the second example, how can you calculate revenue for central government? Whatever collection happens to the central government, that we will calculate minus whatever credit is offset. To that extent, we will reduce balances to the central government itself. Okay. Since there are no questions related to this, we'll go to the multiple choice questions. So let us understand whether you have understood this concept correctly.
Sir, can you please explain residuary powers?
Residuary powers under there are 3 residuary powers under 246 or 246A.
Sir, in general, what is exactly mean residuary powers mean?
Matlab balance powers. State government has some powers, central government has some powers. Now something which is missed out, that is called as residuary. So balance powers hai, that is called as residuary powers. Right. Everybody is given a correct answer for this. The answer is A. I think only one student has given a correct answer for this, one or two students. Everybody has just given an answer saying it is 101st bill, which is wrong. GST came into force by which constitutional amendment bill? The bill, it is not the act. Okay, as you see here, I specifically said that the bill, it was first a bill, then it became a act. Okay, so the bill is 122nd Amendment Bill. The act is 101st Amendment Act. Okay, so the bill is different and the act is different.
हेलो सर, आई एम ऑडिबल।
Yes,
सर सुमित बोल रहा हूँ। सर मेरे को एक डाउट थी इसमें। अगस्त 2016 में 101 फर्स्ट अमेंडमेंट एक्ट इनेक्टेड हुआ था, यस सर?
correct,
सर बट हम लोग जब एक्ट बनता है, प्रेसिडेंट की साइन होती है तब एक्ट बनती है ना, बिल?
correct. बिल आता है, बिल के बाद एक्ट
जब
बनता है.
प्रेसिडेंट हाँ, जब प्रेसिडेंट साइन करती है तब एक्ट में कन्वर्ट होती है।
Correct.
सर तो अगस्त में हम लोगों को बिल प्रेसिडेंट, मतलब हम लोग की पार्लियामेंट में पास हुई थी अगस्त में, बट सितंबर में ये था। आई थिंक मैंने जहां तक अभी रिसर्च किया था, ये सितंबर में जाके प्रेसिडेंट की साइन मिली थी कुछ। सर तो सितंबर हो कि अगस्त, ये कंफ्यूजन है।
ओके, मेरे ख्याल से प्रेसिडेंट के साइन होने के बाद ही एक्ट होती है. ठीक है, तो अगस्त
यस सर।
2016 में ही साइन हो गया.
सर तो रिसर्च में और बुक मॉड्यूल में भी 2000 मतलब सितंबर में साइन दिख रहा है प्रेसिडेंट की।
ओके, मैं चेक करता हूँ बिकॉज अगस्त 2016 ही मेंशन हुआ है सब पे. सितंबर में फर्स्ट जीएसटी काउंसिल मीटिंग हुआ था.
नहीं नहीं, बिल का बता रहा हूँ मैं। मतलब वो एक्ट जब इनेक्टेड हुआ था ना, तो वो सितंबर में ही साइन हुआ था प्रेसिडेंट का, और अगस्त में पार्लियामेंट में पास हुआ था।
ओके, ठीक
अगस्त
है,
में।
वो मैं चेक करता हूँ.
थैंक यू सर।
Okay, so the question here is that bill is 122nd bill, act is 101st act. Okay. Yeah. Sumit Abhishek ने क्लियर कर दिया यहाँ पे. He said president signed his assent not for the act, for the GST council in September. ठीक है, वो मटेरियल में भी ठीक से दिया गया, तो एक बार चेक कर लीजिए. सो अगर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अमेंडमेंट बिल पूछेंगे देन द आंसर इज डी. ओके, थर्ड क्वेश्चन. Various answers for this. Some are saying B, some are saying D. GST is one of the biggest tax reforms of independent India being implemented with the aim of enhancing the overall growth of the nation. It is a comprehensive, क्या लेवल का टैक्स है? It is a destination based indirect tax. जहां पे destination है वहां पे टैक्स जाएगा through our mechanism of IGST. So it's a destination based indirect tax which is levy on goods as well as services at the national level. पूरे नेशनल लेवल पे है, ऐसा नहीं कि स्टेट लेवल पे हो रहा है. इफ इट इज इंटरस्टेट देन सी एंड एस. इफ इट इज इंटरस्टेट, if it is intrastate, C and S. If it is interstate, IGST. So, but the law is at a national level. So, it is a national level destination based tax. Answer is C. Question number 4. India has adopted a dual model of GST where the tax is charged concurrently by the center and the state. Therefore, for an interstate sale, the GST as per CGST Act is charged equally as what? Correct. Everybody is given a correct answer. It is CGST and SGST. Last question for the day. The uniform policy recommended by the GST Council on e-way bill, which is to be implemented, will be totally. We have not discussed on e-way bill, but based on your understanding, you could say this. What is the e-way bill mechanism going to be? Yes, it is going to be both A and B, which is eliminate the check post and break the entry barriers. And it will not increase the bottleneck, it will reduce it. So this is not the right answer. Answer is both A and B. It will eliminate check post and break the entry barriers. So with this, the first chapter is completed. Next Tuesday, we will catch up for the next topic. Yes, Kunal?
हाय सर सर जो अपना लास्ट क्वेश्चन था उस पे अपने डेफिनेशन बेस्ड है अपना जीएसटी एट नेशनल लेवल बट सर जहाँ पे अपना टैक्सेस जैसे गुड्स की सप्लाई होती है वहाँ पे नहीं जाता क्या जैसे स्टूडेंट क्वेश्चन है थोड़ी सी मेरे को हेलो
आपकी आवाज ठीक से नहीं आ रही।
हेलो किस किस ऑडिबल है
नहीं ब्रेकेज है।
सर मैंने मैसेज किया है आपको
is consumption based and destination based. तो बेसिकली आप पूछ रहे हो कि डेस्टिनेशन बेस्ड कैसे है, बिकॉज द टैक्स विल बी कलेक्टेड एट वन प्लेस, बट वो आईजीएसटी के थ्रू ट्रांसफर हो रहा है ना। लाइक इन आवर एग्जांपल, कर्नाटका से जो गुड्स अल्टीमेटली दिल्ली पहुंचा था, तो टैक्स अल्टीमेटली किसको गया था? दिल्ली को गया था ना। Because the consumption is happening in Delhi through this IGST route, the taxes will go to the destination state.
ओके सर ओके सो अल्टीमेटली जैसे जहाँ पे फाइनली जा रहा है डेस्टिनेशन वहाँ पे रहेगा अल्टीमेटली खत्म हो रहा है।
Correct.
थैंक यू सर।
So I've completed this chapter. Faculty from Board of Studies would like to interact with you. Yes, this PPT and Excel calculation will be shared, uploaded today. And once the Board of Studies approves it, it will be visible for you. In relating to taxing in India's slide, the 4 points, the person who shall pay is the person in end consumer or final seller who is mentioned here. The person who shall pay, that is not the end consumer who will deposit the taxes to the government. That is the point in the taxing in India, saying that who is ultimately responsible. That's why it's an indirect tax. The burden is on the consumer, but it is going to the paid by the supplier. Okay, Sumit. So, what you're saying is 8th September. Yeah, fine. So, September 2016 is the correct thing because ultimately it received the precedence asset on September. So, it is September itself. Sure. Any more questions? So at the okay, is the credits is applicable for UT GST? Yes. So whatever we have spoken in terms of intra-state transactions, CGST and SGST will apply. That is for a state. When it is a union territory, that S will be replaced by U. Okay, which means that if there is a transaction within one union territory, then you will charge CGST and UTGST. Okay. Entertainment tax levied by local bodies not subsumed. See, entertainment tax was earlier a topic which was constitution or the power was with the state government. So, state government has kind of given the powers. So, state government has given all its powers to CGST in terms of SGST. So, state government is not correcting, but some municipality governments, right, where some local bodies in few places they are collecting entertainment tax. Yeah, supply basics we will cover, Abhishek, starting with section 7. So read section 7 completely. That will help you in the next session.
हेलो सर.
Yes.
सर वर्क कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का जो आईटीसी जो सिस्टम है वो उसमें क्या सेम ही होता है क्या?
वर्क्स कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का थोड़ा अलग है.
अच्छा.
वर्क्स
उसका जैसे
कॉन्ट्रैक्ट
हम लोग रिटर्न फाइलिंग का जैसे जो हम लोग आईटीसी क्लेम करते हैं उसमें तो उसमें क्या प्रोसीज्योर हो सकते हैं?
समझा नहीं आपका क्वेश्चन.
मतलब जो हम आईटीसी जो हम क्लेम करते हैं ना, जैसे हम आईटीसी सीजीएसटी एसजीएसटी जो आपने बताया था ना एक्सेल में, हाँ, तो वो उसी तरह क्या वर्क कॉन्ट्रैक्टर का जो आईटीसी है उसी तरह हम लोग क्या क्लेम कर सकते
नहीं,
हैं क्या?
वर्क्स कॉन्ट्रैक्टर हम जाएंगे तब देखेंगे. वो वैसे भी आपके इंटर के सिलेबस में नहीं है वर्क्स कॉन्ट्रैक्टर का. तो उसका
अच्छा.
स्पेसिफिक प्रोविजन जब जाएंगे अब आपको एक्सप्लेन करेंगे.
और सर एक एक क्वेश्चन और सर, सेस जो है, सेस जो आप बोल रहे थे कि 31 मार्च 2026 के बाद ये नहीं लगेगा, मतलब कि क्यों नहीं लगेगा ये हम जानना चाह रहे
क्योंकि ये
थे.
टेम्पररी है. सेस का रीजन ये था क्योंकि आप ऑलरेडी सीजीएसटी एसजीएसटी ले रहे हो तो सेस लेने की क्या जरूरत है. करेक्ट. तो सेस तो इंटरिम रीजन के लिए था कि जो भी लॉस हुआ है गवर्नमेंट को उसको कवर अप करने के लिए. ठीक है. लेकिन उससे क्या हो रहा है, इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ रहा है तो उसको परमानेंटली नहीं रख सकते, तो इसलिए उसको हटाया जाए.
ओके सर. ओके, थैंक यू सर.
Thank you, Deepak sir, for this wonderful session. I think some students still have some queries. Shankar has some query.
हो गया मैम, पूछ लिए.
It has been resolved. Okay. So I would thank Deepak sir for this wonderful session and thoughtful session. And all of you must have now been apprised or very well aware of the basic concept of GST. What are the nuances of this law? Why it was introduced? And what was the need or what were the deficiencies in the earlier taxation system which led to introduction of GST in India? Everything has been fully covered in last session, which was held day before yesterday, and in today's session. And in fact, the framework of GST, the need for constitutional amendment, and the important constitutional provisions relating to GST, everything has been properly covered in these two sessions. So I would request all of you to make best out of these sessions and to I would also advise you that first of all, what is the position of law which is applicable for September examination? Because all of you know that these classes are for September 2025 attempt of CA intermediate level. So all of you should first of all know that what is the position of law which will be covered in these classes. The amendments which have been made by Finance Act 2000, Finance Number 2 Act 2024, and the notifications and circulars which have been issued or which will be issued, because today it is 27th of February, which will be issued till tomorrow, 28th of February 2025. This is the cutoff date for September 2025 examination. So we will be covering the amendments made under the GST law in this paper, Paper-3B, Goods and Services Tax, which have been made effective up to 28th February 2025. That is 6 months before the examination. So all of you should be aware, because you have to refer the study material which is applicable for this examination. That is October 2024 edition of the study material. That is there available in the hard copy as well as it is hosted on the website. Plus, you have to make use of the PPTs or notes in the form of PPTs, which sir would be giving you during the class. So they would be made available on the BOS app. Those notes, PPTs would be uploaded, as well as some assignments will also be given to you for your assessing whatever the understanding which you have gained during the class. So whatever assignments will be given to you from next class, all of you are requested to attempt those questions, try to solve those questions, and then come prepared in the next class. If in case any significant questions are there, or in case you have any doubt in any of the questions, then those questions can also be discussed in the class. In fact, I would suggest that if you want to make best out of these classes, the right approach is that first of all, you should go through the study material before coming to the class, so that suppose you know that today or in the next class supply chapter would be started. So try to go through the initial topics of supply chapter from the study material, have a glance at all the topics so that you have a basic idea of the topic which has to be discussed in the class. Then after attending the class carefully, try to make your own notes either during the class, or if you feel that you want to make the notes from the recorded session, then you can do that also. And you will be getting the notes in the form of PPT also. That will also help you in preparing your own notes. After the session, what you should do is you should once again go through all the PPTs as well as the study material, the relevant topics which have been covered during the session, that you should go through once again, and then make complete notes of those topics. That will help you in having the comprehensive understanding of that particular topic. So just attending the class will give you an idea of the topic, but if you want to be thorough with the topic, I would suggest that first come prepared for that topic, and then after the class once again go through the topic from the study material, from the notes which are given by sir, and then you make your, if possible you can make your own notes, or you can add to those PPTs or the notes which you have. You can also make use of the let us recapitulate section which is given at the end of each chapter of the study material. In fact, if you see the study material has lot many features also for your facilitation, which has, first of all, in every chapter there is let us recap. First of all, learning objectives are given to you, learning outcomes which apprise you that what all you are going to gain after reading a particular chapter. I would request all of you to go through the study material once. In fact, if we see, let me take you to the website. Is the website visible to all of you? I think you are able to see the BOS knowledge portal which is there on the screen. Can anybody of you? Okay. Praveen is saying that yes, it's visible. So on this particular BOS knowledge portal, in fact, this portal you have to refer very often or regularly. You should visit this portal, because every information which we want to share with the students is updated on this portal. So this is the portal which is there for you throughout your CA journey. It will help you in apprising you with the latest publications which have been uploaded for your reference. Hard copy of that will be available afterwards, or you can take the hard copy once you know that these are the publications which are available for your reference. For example, at the intermediate level, you have study material with you, you have the MCQ booklet which has recently been launched, and plus you have Saransh. Now, this has been a new feature because earlier Saransh was there for the indirect taxes subject as a whole. Now, specifically for the intermediate students, separately the Saransh has been published, and it is, you know, that it is a colorful publication. It has the summaries in the form of flowcharts, pictorial representation, and it helps you in retaining the concept or revising the concept day before examination. So you can use that also if you want to make it, convert it in the form of notes by making it comprehensive. That is up to you. How do you want to use it? But you should definitely refer the Saransh. Now I will take you to the study material because I want to show that what are the features which are there for you in every chapter of taxation, indirect taxes, GST study material. Okay, let us take the first chapter itself, which you have just gone through. So in every chapter, first of all, we have the learning outcomes. As I told you, that this lets you know that what all will be discussed in this chapter, or after completing this chapter, what all you would be knowing about that particular topic. Like here, it has already been explained that concept of GST, why GST is to be introduced, constitutional provisions, framework of GST, everything which you have done, it gives you a key or list of the topics which will be discussed in the chapter. Then we have an overview of the chapter, and then each topic has been discussed. Now we have made every attempt to make the study material students friendly, to make the study material interesting for the students, so that you find it appealing, or you find it engaging. And to break the monotony, at some places we have given some quotes, related quotes by famous persons, or some pictorial imageries are there which helps you in relating to the topic. Then we have the diagrams in the form of pictures, or in the form of the flowcharts. We have given the diagrams also. So after the chapter, at the end of each chapter, we have the let us recapitulate section, which contains a small summary. In first chapter, it's not there because chapter itself discusses the basic concepts. But if you see the second chapter, that is the supply, there we have the summary. So I will once take you through that let us recapitulate section also, which gives you an idea that how the summary portion looks like. Yeah, this is the summary which we have given for the chapter. Okay, and so this is the basic pictorial representation summary which you have for each chapter. At the end of each chapter, you will find such kind of a summary. This will also help you in revising the concept which you have done during the class. Plus, we have some quiz time. Some MCQ quizzes are there at relevant places in each of the chapters. Now, you will find them at regular intervals in the chapter, and they have been incorporated to increase your interest in the subject. So when you go through these MCQs, you will find that they are not direct MCQs which you can answer based on your understanding. You have to apply a particular provision, and then you will be able to ascertain their answer. So I would request all of you to go through these MCQs also, because they will help you in clearing your concepts, and they have been very thoughtfully drafted, thoughtfully formulated to assess the understanding of the student of that particular concept. So you will have to apply your mind to answer these questions. And we generally get so many queries from the students regarding these MCQs, because at first instance, many students are not able to arrive at the answer. And in fact, we have not provided the answers also in the study material for this reason only. You have to scan the QR code which is given at the end of the chapter for answering these MCQs, so that you are not, because generally it so happens whenever we see any question, we are tempted to see the answer first instead of applying our mind, or instead of trying to arrive at the answer. So that is why we have not given the answer in the book. You have to scan the QR code and then you have to arrive the answer. But I would suggest try your best to arrive at the answer first, and then see the answer, that what is the correct answer. So that will help you in clearing your concept. Then we have the summary, and after that we have the test your knowledge section. So test your knowledge is nothing but the questions based on the chapter. And I would advise that once you complete a particular chapter, for example, chapter 1 is complete today, so you should try to attempt its test your knowledge questions. I will also be providing you certain questions in assignment. You should do that also. And then you should see the answers. So that test your knowledge section should be solved on your own, or you should try to solve the test your knowledge questions on your own, and then you should see the answers. Then you should try to check the answers or confirm the answers for the same. So don't look at the answers in the first instance unless you have actually arrived at your answer. Then see the whatever answer has been provided in the study material. That will help you in locating the areas where you still need some you know understanding, or where areas which you still have to improvise. You have to still go through those areas to understand the concept. In fact, one of the students is asking, ma'am, the book you shows in the presentation is the old one. Okay, let me see if I have mistakenly gone to the no, this is the correct updated book. This is updated till 31st October 2024. So this is the book which is applicable for May 2025 examination, because till May 2025 examination, the position of law which is applicable is 31st October 2024. And this book is updated up to that particular point. Now for September 2025 examination, we have to cover the amendments from 1st November to 28th February 2025. Now they will be compiled in the form of the statutory update, and they will be hosted on this particular BOS knowledge portal only. I will show you where you can find this statutory update. Though we have to wait for that deadline or cutoff to pass, then only you will be getting those amendments. And they will be covered in the class also. So in class, the position of law which will be covered is 28th February 2025, and study material is 31st October till 31st October 2024. Yes. So Praveen is saying that you can find yes, you can find the updated book till 31st October, because that is the study material is based on the position of law up to 31st October. For the intervening amendments which are applicable for this particular attempt, September 25 attempt, we will be separately hosting statutory update. Once this cutoff passes, then maybe within next month we will be hosting or web hosting the statutory update. Hard copies for January 26. See, Gururam, this is the study material which is applicable for January 2026 also. Only thing is that along with the study material for September examination as well as for January 26 examination, you have to refer to the statutory update. There will be separate statutory update which will be hosted for January 2026 examination. Just to apprise you, for January 26 examination, position of law till 30th June 2025 will be applicable, and the statutory update for January 26 will be web hosted after 30th June 2025. Similarly, for September, statutory update may be hosted by next month. We are expecting that it will be web hosted by next month. So regarding the ordering of kit for both groups, you can contact the CDS portal, because I am not very sure of that. Yes, I am showing you where you can get the statutory update. Though right now there will be no statutory update, because the study we have right now focusing on May 25 examination, and you know that till the time cutoff does not pass away, cutoff does not cross. Till the time we cannot give you the statutory update. So we have to wait for cutoff date to be there, that is 28th February. After cutoff date, we will be compiling the amendments and we will be web hosting them. But where will you get it? That we have to see. One is here you can see the statutory update are there. Now these statutory update are for September and January. Similar way you will get the statutory update for September 25 examination also. Okay, so here first is below the study material, you will get the statutory update. Apart from that, on the main page also, there is a tab called amendments. That also I will show you. This is the website. Now here, there is a separate tab called amendments. So here also you will get the statutory update. Okay, so these September 2025 statutory updates you will get either in amendments or developments, or you can refer the study material. At both the places you will find the statutory update. I hope that clarifies your query. Now, so therefore, I suggest all of you to please make best use of these classes, to go through the class attentively, and before coming to the class, please be prepared with the concept which is going to be discussed. Okay, and some more questions are there. Let me see. Ronak is asking all the syllabus will be covered. Ronak, you want to refer to the session, to the class, which LVC class? Yes, entire syllabus will be covered, and each topic will be covering one by one. You can refer all your doubts. You can see the study material, and then you can whatever. And in fact, during the session also, sir always answers each and every query which students ask. So everything will be covered, which you have to refer for September 2025 examination comprehensively. Please refer these classes. You will be definitely benefited by these classes. So, is amendments covered? Priyanka is asking, will amendments be covered in live classes? Yes, amendments will be covered. That means you will be taught the latest position of law that is applicable for your examination. So, whatever is relevant for September 2025 examination at this level, intermediate level, that will be referred or that will be discussed in the class. Now, will Saransh be enough for revision? I always say that we have prepared Saransh with a view to enable you to revise the concept day before examination. But as regards the notes are concerned, as regards the revision material is concerned, we always suggest the students to make that material comprehensive as per your preference, because you have to customize that particular material which you have to refer day before examination. First of all, you should be comfortable with that material. You have to refer it before examination also. Don't open it just the day before examination. Prior also, during your preparation time also, you should refer to that particular publication and try to make it comprehensive. Try to add things which you feel that you have to refer day before examination. So that will vary from each student to student. So, but you should definitely refer Saransh. You will definitely find it useful, and you can add if you things where you feel that yes, this particular provision I want to refer before.
Yes, sir. Okay. Fine, sir. So, madam has briefed it. That is what we had to discuss. So we can continue in the next class. Hello. Yes, sir. So there is some technical error on the BOS thing. So it's okay. Whatever are the points which madam want to tell, she will be there in the next session also. So she will explain it in the next session. Thank you. Yes, sir.